Labą dieną. Good afternoon. I'm delighted to introduce my guest. As you heard, Kaidi Ruusalepp, a founder and CEO of Funderbeam, which is a global fintech startup. And Kaidi, it was just also mentioned in Lithuanian that after receiving a degree in law, you were the only lawyer in Estonia specialized in the technology field. So that was enough for the Prime Minister to invite you to co-author the Estonian Digital Signatures Act. And that was one of the first of its kind in the world. And probably it would be fair to say that that laid the foundation for Estonia that we know today, right? Later on, career journey took Kaidi to the heart of the financial markets, where she took top executive positions at the Tallinn Stock Exchange Group for 12 years, and this is when we were colleagues together. And I remember how the European stock exchanges community was surprised when we would come to international meetings and the heads of the 3 Baltic exchanges were all women. That was really outstanding. Then, having given birth to 2 boys, Kaidi mustered up the courage to become an entrepreneur and founded Funderbeam, the first exchange powered by blockchain technology, and it is a global platform which helps growth companies to get funded and traded. And just to mention, most recently, Kaidi was listed among the top 30 Baltic entrepreneurs to watch by the Forbes, and in London, I guess, sees the Entrepreneur of the Year Technology Playmaker Award. So welcome, Kaidi.
Thank you.
And just before we go into the fireside chat with Kaidi, I would like to really invite the audience to join in with your questions. I need to also apologize that it's really difficult because of the lights for me to see everyone and who has a question. So we would really appreciate if you have a question, just jump into the conversation maybe as we transition from one question to another. Don't be shy, and I'm sure Kaidi will be more than happy to respond.
Yes.
All right. So you started in the public sector, then moved to the corporate world, and finally to the startups. And startup is a very exciting, but at the same time really turbulent and tough environment and world. So what was the initial spark that pushed you in that direction?
Well, I didn't. First of all, thank you. It's really, really good to be here, and I'm back in Vilnius after 10 years. So it's really good to be here, and back with the girlfriend, right, as we were introduced.
Yeah.
So I didn't plan to set up a startup company, because I just after being so long time in the stock exchange industry, which in the late years became a part of the big operation, I just wanted to do something on my own, because I thought that if I'd take another corporate journey, then when I will retire, I will regret for the rest of my life that I didn't try to do something on my own. And when I started to play with different ideas and looking at my expertise, then it ended up building up a global tech company. And once you start building up a global tech company, then the routes lead you to the startup industry. But the main trigger was that I wanted to do something on my own and become an entrepreneur, because I've so many years worked with the entrepreneurs, and I adore every single entrepreneur, because the courage and the boldness and really maybe the vision these people carry in them as personalities and as good leaders, that is something that really motivates.
So let's talk about the vision you just mentioned. I came across the title of the Funderbeam annual report, which read, "What if the next Silicon Valley is not a place, it's a platform? sounds very bold and ambitious. So what is your dream with Funderbeam?
Now when we get into the big business, what Funderbeam is, what we enable to do, we enable the young growing companies and the global growing companies to get the funding, and when investors invest, they can trade with the investment. So basically we are the young brother of the Nasdaq, but built on the future technology called a blockchain. And the vision for the future is actually to unite the global innovation community. Those who have the bright ideas, those who built up something, need capital to grow, and then those people who would like to fund this kind of companies. And the practical approach is simply that once you invest into something, whatever it is, you at one point would like to get out, and that's where the trading part comes. And especially when we talk about the early stage investments globally, then this is the biggest problem, the liquidity. You get in, but it's really difficult to get out.
So how the success will look like for you? Do you want to build an Estonian unicorn? That's for record for those outside the financial markets, $1 billion worth company.
I actually want to build a service that will be used over the world by millions and millions. This is the goal. If this leads me to Estonian or a global or European or whatever unicorn, that's sort of the cherry on top of the cake. But the real dream is to build something meaningful, and not just to build something that where the money exchanges the hands, but so that people can make something different and can make the difference in the world. So that when this kind of crazy and world-changing ideas come up, then there's somebody who helps them, those young and ambitious entrepreneurs, and this is leading all us into something better.
By the way, on the unicorn topic, do you know where you are in that scale? Like, do you have any idea of how much Funderbeam is worth today?
Well, yes, we are. We are raising the funds, and once you raise the funds, you always set the price of your company, and the investors say, yeah, well, no, you're not worth so much, that this is the place we know. But for the unicorn, it takes us still a couple of more years to go.
Okay, a couple of more, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so crypto, that's I think on many people's minds, even those who are not really very closely related to technology or financial markets. Media is full of headlines, about Bitcoins, Ethereum, and initial crypto offerings, and so on. So as a lawyer, involved, experienced, and passionate with financial services and technology, what is your view of the crypto economy? Is it just another hype that will, kind of evade over time, or are we on the verge of a really big disruption?
I hope we will be knocking on the door of the disruption, because everything what's happening around the crypto, if we talk about the Bitcoin or we talk about the underlying technology, what is called the blockchain, it is the reaction to the way we've been living so far. It's like in the financial sector, we have a bank who holds our assets, and then we have the securities accounts holding the securities, and then there's the trader who does the trades and all this kind of stuff. So sort of our own assets are legally owned by us, but actually this service is providing millions intermediates. And there has been so many cases around the world where those intermediaries whose aim was to provide the trust has actually misused the trust. And now the reaction from the young tech-savvy people is that let's make a difference. And now the technology enables us to make the difference. I don't think we will disrupt it as human beings. I just don't think. We can't change. We are who we are. But what the technology enables us to do, it enables us to live a bit better, to be connected, to take more responsibility of our own assets, who keeps it, and actually start trusting the technology.
On the word of trust, when I think about the startup world, and what it takes to start a company, I think a lot really depends on trust.
Yeah.
Trust of the partner, of the equity partner, trust of the first investor, trust of the first employee, trust of the first client.
Yeah.
So how do you gain and nurture trust?
Yeah, I'll just on the slide side, we picked some of the photos over because Funderbeam is getting 5 years this summer, and we've had crazy times, and some of the photos just to illustrate the word trust and the other topics what we've done. And this picture was taken one of those crazy sports competition. The guy is our head of marketing, and the lady is head of HR, and this is what it is. You have to help each other through the mud, or help the others out of the mud. But trust is everything. I mean, in the business, whatever in our life, trust is everything. And you just have to, you even can't take the first step into the side of misusing the trust. If you promise your staff something, you either keep to you work towards keeping this promise, and if you can't keep the promise, you have to be honest. The moment you start lying, they will understand, and then you lose the trust. The same goes with the investors, and especially in this very early stage, you go there and all you have a dream. You don't have numbers, you don't have a revenue, you still don't have the product, but you have to go and tell the story and keep this kind of good relations. The moment the first time either you lie or either you do something that is not in favor of your team or the investors, then the trust starts to break. So there's very thin line between the trust and misusing the trust. So I think in all our life, the trust is there, even between me and my children and me and my husband.
Yeah, true. How did you pitch your dream, your idea? Maybe you have some, interesting story also to tell, how, and you've built a global startup,
Yeah.
which means that you've been interacting with investors from different parts of the world. So,
yeah,
how did it go?
The other photo, it's our investor. He's a Japanese entrepreneur. He built up the first game and listed it on the Japan Stock Exchange that had more than 1 billion users, or 1 hill. Yeah, and his cap, not the billion, sorry, and his market cap is now over the 6 billion on the market. But the way he found us is Funderbeam has been covered in Wired Japan. And Wired Japan is one of the most read magazines in Japan. And the whole issue was, or edition was about cryptocurrency and was about the blockchain. And then there was a story about the Funderbeam, and Taisa-san read the article and said, wow, this is something, this company is going to change the world. And then he Googled and read the stories and did see some, YouTube is a powerful tool. You can go and watch all the videos, whatever is ever filmed about me pitching the company. And at one point, we saw on the Twitter, somebody is talking about Funderbeam. Social influencers, global social influencers 2020 amongst the big Japanese audience. And we asked the guy who tweeted, who is this guy talking about? And then we found out it's Taisa-san. And then I tweeted him and said that thank you so much, and we are so honored, and this is how we met. But all the pitching, it's the book I've just finished, The Influential Minds. I suggest you to read it, just Google it. It's written by the neurologist. And she says that numbers doesn't sell, data doesn't sell, reports, arguments, statistics, it doesn't sell. What sells is the story, and it's the vision. And if you tell someone about something, the more emotions and the more personal stories you put into it, the more it touches. And if you truly believe in something and you go and tell the others that this is something I believe, I think it's going to change the world, and you have some kind of professional background that supports the trust, this is normally that is engaging the most. And the book, again, there's been a couple of very, very powerful speeches all around the world, and at one point they had the chance to measure what is happening in the brains of the audience. And you know, when the speech and the vision and the story is really touching, the brains start to function the same way for the whole audience, the same rhythm. Dun, 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 dun. And this is when you know that you get the message out, and this is, you know, when you get the audience, and when you get somebody backing you.
There is a French word for that, rapport. That's the connection, the invisible connection that you build with the audience. Being in business and also in the top positions is always related to, you know, with failures, some adversities, and we often talk that, you know, it requires resilience for you to really persist and continue to pursue your goal. How about you? How resilient are you? And do you have your own kind of recipes and ways how you get over the failures and difficult situations?
To be an entrepreneur, this means that 9 times out of 10 you have the trouble, you have the failure, you have something bad happening.
Short of money,
Short
probably.
of money, everything. You come out with a new product release, the customers don't like it, you lose some sign-ups, all these kind of things. And then the 9th or the 10th is something where some kind of investor like Tyson is finding you, or you get an award of something. So it's just going through the mud, and then at one day the sun is shining, but the next day it's the mud. You just have to believe in the vision. And the second thing, what I pointed out at the beginning, is you have to surround yourself with the good people. The people that support you, the people that believe in you, the people that are eager to jump into the journey with you, the mud, to drag each other out of the mud. And then also find a way how to recover. I mean, somebody does sports, somebody listens to music, somebody
what do you do?
does the garden. Depending on the time of the year, in the winter, obviously I'm the nature people, because I've been practicing orienteering for many, by now decades already. But it's going out into forest or spending time with the family. Now it's the spring, finally again, I can start decorating my garden again, you know, planting the flowers. And reading and the good music. Always.
Do you still have time to practice orienteering,
No.
given how much you travel?
No.
So that is another a dream for the later.
There's somebody, I think it was the sister of Mark Zuckerberg, who said that you basically have 5 things important to your life. It's the business, it's the family, it's the social life, it's your sports and hobbies and all these kind of things. But once you're into the business, you only can keep 3 of them. So I cut out basically all my sports and stuff, and also the social life. I just basically zero social life.
We will come back to the family, but given we are in the women leadership event, I need to ask that question, because that is also part of the personal curiosity, you know. Estonia is known as being a modern, progressive, you know, open society and being always kind of in the front. And there is one aspect which just puzzles me, you know, and has been puzzling me given I have also a team in Estonia and work with Estonian business community a lot. And when I get into these all-male audiences, it just strikes me every time, you know. And to bring just two examples, so Finance Estonia, which is the body uniting professionals and quite senior people from the financial industry in Estonia, a board of 15 people, all men, just all men, 15 men. Aren't there any like qualified women in Estonia? And another fact is the pay gap. So Estonia has the highest pay gap in the entire EU, as huge as 25%. How can you explain that?
You know, when I posted it, it hurts, you know, being Estonian and present in front of the audience, which has a lot of women, and the pay gap is actually, I would say, a nice or sort of close to non-existent. It is a big thing in Estonia, definitely, and I would say it all starts with the way we raise the kids. Maybe it's in Estonia, it's not so much in the Nordics anymore. What we as parents expect the girls to be and what we as parents expect boys to be. For example, if you send the kids to the birthday party in Estonia, then you know the girls, they all wear the white stockings and the nice pink light dresses, and you expect the girls to come back as nicely dressed and as clean as possible. And then you send the boys out to the party and said, have fun. To take the risks as much as you can. And this is part of the culture. And the second issue, what we also figured out is that based on this as well, Estonian ladies are thinking too much before they jump into something too risky. And I encourage them not to think too much, because you know when the ladies start to think, they think, overthink, and then at one point decide, no, I'm not going to do it, because the risks are too high. Well, here we are.
Rapport.
And the second thing again is the night. Again, what I say, if you have an idea in the evening, start executing, don't sleep. Start executing, because the night gives the same result. You wake up in the morning and you say, yeah, well, maybe not. And the third point, when I posted in my Facebook that Estonia has the highest pay gap in European Union, guess what was the response from Estonian men? And it was the Eurostat.
Stats are wrong.
Yes. Eurostat doesn't know how to calculate. There's something wrong with the calculations. But the main problem actually in Estonia is that they calculate the average, and the average is consisting of men sitting in the top and ladies not taking the risks, and this is how the average is created.
I will reserve a story for the next time how I was hiring a senior executive in Estonia and was trying to get, I said, can I get some people with high potential rather than proven careers? And I was told that it's a very clear closed circle, and you can pick only from that pool of people if you want to have a decent person in that role. So it's very interesting. Let's hope that also your personal example will contribute to the change in Estonia. I think that is definitely needed. Following just some of your interviews, or tweets and comments, you always refer to the Ruusalepp gang or family and the Funderbeam, gang. So, what is the bond there? And is a CEO Kaidi, an entrepreneur Kaidi, and a mother, a wife, a daughter Kaidi, are they the same person?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it, but yes, they are. You can't be a different person. If you are a different person at home, if you are a different person amongst your friends, amongst your company, then you are not sincere. And then you are sort of the faces. But you can't be a face. You have to be a human being, and a human being and the personality. And you know that you can trust this person, because if you have different faces, you never know what different face to trust. But one thing I've noticed is that sort of in the business, I try to keep myself as calm as possible. I've learned it over the years, because the first years of being a top manager, you use the weapon of tears, you know, but now not anymore. But I never shouted to any of my employees, and I try not to raise the voice, which is not working at home. I have to raise the voice, especially this 11-year-old boy who is constantly touching every single borders, especially my borders. So this is different.
Okay, we will be wrapping up, so last chance to ask questions from the audience. And when, as the name actually suggests, a startup is about starting, pioneering things. And that usually is really difficult. So what would be your advice that you would like to share with all of us? We heard already some. Don't sleep, don't think. Maybe you have some other tips, be it having a brilliant business idea and just venturing in putting it in action, or taking the courage to stand in front of a big audience, maybe for the first time. So what would be your tips?
Two tips. First tip is there's a company. When you take a photo and you can, it's now bought by the Facebook, and you can attach, the ears of the animal and the nose of the animal. And when this company first, it was accelerated by the Estonian Business Accelerator, and when they first came there, then all the audience thought it's the silliest idea on earth. But the guys started to build it up, and then all of a sudden it went viral. And at the end of the day, the Facebook bought it by 100 million. So just, this idea. So don't you ever think your business idea is stupid. That's the advice number one, never. Second, find a good partner, because entrepreneur alone is nobody. The team I have in Funderbeam, I very carefully pick the people, very different people from 10 different nationalities. We share the same values, because the value conflict is the most difficult. It's unsolvable. But if you have the different personalities, the team is the one that keeps you going. And just go and do it, because the worst thing that ever can happen to you if you become an entrepreneur or do something on your own is that you become 10 times smarter. And if this is the risk you are afraid of, then don't take the first step.
Thank you, Kaidi. Thank you very much for inspiration and wisdom, and we wish you all the best, both to you personally and to Funderbeam, and hope to follow your future successes. Thank you.
Thank you.